One of the things that we are all sort of on tenterhooks about are the many comments that we have seen from the Trump administration and from President Trump since Israel launched an attack on Iran on Friday, attacking Iran's nuclear sites. And I'm not going to get into that struggle itself, but I'm going to get in a little bit here to what that means for American domestic politics, because Trump and the administration appeared to have been caught flat-footed when Israel struck. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is also acting as the director of national intelligence, he's got a lot of hats, put out a statement saying that the U.S. was not part of that attack and hadn't been informed of that attack. The Israelis said, in fact, we had been. But shortly after that, Trump started to say, well, of course, we did know about it. I mean, it's all very murky what's happening there, but it shows a number of things. First of all, I think it shows that foreign affairs are moving away from the U.S. The U.S. is not the player that it was even 4 or 5 months ago, and it no longer has the kind of influence that it had. Obviously, Prime Minister Netanyahu had wanted to attack Iran in the previous two administrations and had not done so. This time he felt he could do so under Trump. So it means that foreign affairs are moving away from the United States, but it also comes at a really important time domestically for the United States, because over the course of the last, well, several weeks, but certainly over the last weekend, Trump has been shown to be really much weaker than he claims that he is and that he wants to project that he is. And this event has given him the ability to try and insist that he's the deal maker and he's the person calling the shots. And since last night, which would have been Monday night, or maybe shortly after Sunday. I kind of lose track of when the Truth Social posts come in. He has been talking and saying really extreme things like people should evacuate Tehran. Well, Tehran is more than 9 million people, 16 million in the metropolitan area. Evacuating that many people is, I mean, it was just shocking that he said such a thing. He's also suggested a number of things indicating that he is trying to represent that the power of the U.S. government rests in him and that he is going to use that really freely. What that's going to lead to, I don't think anybody knows. He's been a real loose cannon lately. And the term loose cannon actually comes from naval history, when the cannons aboard a ship were actually chained down because of the recoil from when they were fired. And if those chains broke, a loose cannon was a cannon that was no longer chained to the deck, and a recoil would send it smashing through everything else on the deck. And those were usually, by the way, in the middle of the ship, not at the top of the ship. So it means you don't know what's going to happen, what's going to go next. And I really love that expression, because I think it really brings on what a loose cannon really is. But when we are thinking about that and what Trump is trying to project to people and what his own injured sense of self needs to project to people, it's also worth remembering that the MAGA movement is bitterly divided about the idea of the U.S. intervening in a foreign conflict, especially in this way. And you will remember that there are those America Firsters who insist that the U.S. should not get involved. And then there are other people who are simply loyal to anything that Trump does, like Laura Loomer. And then there are others who are Christian evangelicals who really believe that the coming of their new future is centered in the Middle East, and they are hoping for some major American intervention. And you see that, for example, with U.S. Ambassador to Israel, a former governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, who has been posting to Trump things that really seem to encourage him to get involved in this struggle between Israel and Iran. So there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of context there that is not reflected only in the sort of normal stuff you're seeing, I think, in accounts of blow by blow what's happening in between Iran and Israel right now.